So hey guys, welcome to my review of the DC Universe service that just launched this weekend, So I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to just record my visual stuff over here on my phone, and hopefully this all works out with the voiceover and everything I'm recording separately. So I got this at Comic-Con. I got it for $75. I got the shirt. I'm wearing the shirt right now that I got for the exclusive. And it's a pretty good bargain because it's $75 for 15 months. That equates to $5 per month in terms of the content. So I'm going to run through a few things from the comics and movies, the TV shows. I'm going to talk about the navigation in the app, the encyclopedia community store. I'll briefly touch on the Roku app, and then I'll give you my my general feel for everything. So out of the gate, I'll just tell you right now, I do really like the DC Universe app and everything that it has so far. So I'm just going to preface it with that, and let's just go ahead and get in here. So first of all, let's just look at the home stuff here. So the home is the first thing that you're probably going to be seeing, and this is very similar to the Netflix feel for their own UI system. So if you look over here, it has some of the things that they're trying to push at the very top, similar to what Netflix does for their own series. It has the stuff that you've watched before, so you can dive back in, just like it says over here. There's trending movies and TV, just like how Netflix has it, and also trending comics as well. And then it lists some essential things over here, so and as well as connections to the community for their threads as well. There's news and everything like that. So that's what it looks like when you first get into it. So then now let's go ahead and let's look at comics right now. So the deal with the comics is that right over here you can there are a lot of number ones. So for example, there's the newer stuff like Superman 2016 Rebirth. That's only issue number 1. And then there's a lot of other books where it will only give you number 1s and everything. So this is what it looks like first, but I want to show you what I prefer to view it as. So well, I'll briefly touch on this later on, but just to give you an example, this is the Browse All feature. You can look at everything here. So, for example, Action Comics from the New 52 has the first 3 issues, but it doesn't have all the other issues in it. And let's see another example. All-Star Superman, which you would expect that it would have the entire trade, only has issue number 1. So that's kind of an interesting part on what they've decided to do. It's like they tease you with a little bit of the carrot, but they never give it to you. You're always you have to buy more, which makes sense. They definitely still want you to buy comics. And there's nothing wrong with that, simply because, well, the comics industry in terms of print is suffering and no one's buying comics. And even though they give this to you, there is a lot of free content. There are definitely a lot of runs that I would want to read, and I would even recommend people reading. So, for example, we have Batman Year 1, Batgirl Year 1 over here. I've never read this, but I've always wanted to read it, so it has the complete set over there for the run. For Birds of Prey, it has the annual, if you see here on the left, and it has the first story arc, I'm assuming, for the first 7 issues of Birds of Prey. And the list just goes on and on. There's a lot of content out here that you can definitely read. The first, few issues and stuff like that. What I was hoping for a larger back catalog of all things DC. So what I'm talking about is Gotham Central, No Man's Land, which is like 4 volumes long, I think. There's a lot of Superman books that I haven't read, and I would totally love to just read the entire Jeff Johns Green Lantern run from the very beginning to end, but unfortunately, that's not here. Overall, it is a mixed bag in terms of the content. There are still a lot of good books that I'm excited to read, but it's just not specific ones that I wanted to initially. There is a disclaimer at the very top, though, I think over here. The full DC Comics digital library will be available for purchase in October. So that's the comic side. Let's check out the movie side. So there's movies and TV here on this bottom tab here, and it has the same kind of thing where it has animated series, a regular series. It has the animated movies and live action movies together. So if we just go ahead and look at the Browse All again, just to get a high level view of everything here, we can see all the movies they have available for you to watch. And as you can see, there's a lot of animated stuff, which is great. Like there's not too much of the live action stuff, because that's not bad per se, because really, if you're a DC fan and you're thinking about getting this, you should know that the core of what makes DC amazing is their sheer, I guess, quantity and quality of their animated movies. So I'm talking about Mask of the Phantasm. I'm talking about their animated shows like Batman, the animated series, Batman Beyond. They do a good job with their animated stuff. Marvel can hold no torch to that. So I'm glad that they are putting at the core, the animated stuff. For the live action things, it's definitely older things. The Nolan Batman trilogies, of course, here. You can find that pretty much anywhere, but it's here. You can watch the old Superman movies and serials, which is pretty cool because those are pretty obscure by today's standards. No one really watches those old stuff anymore. I still love the first 2 Superman movies. They're great. Quest for Peace is laughable, though. That's a really weird movie. That's the movie section. Looks really good. And we're just going to stay over here. We're going to look at the TV shows. Now, for me, the TV shows it's really where you get your bang for the buck, all right? I mean, that's what Netflix sees, that's what Hulu sees. That's why they're putting so much original content for television shows as opposed to the movies, because movies, they're only 2 hours long. Shows get your time investment, and therefore they have this metric where it's most views that are seen in the entire marketplace that they have. Those are the shows that they keep. So of course TV shows are going to get you the bang for the buck, the most investment from their side. But what kind of shows do they have? I mean, there's no way for me to strategically organize it, but for one of mine, it's Batman Beyond. I love that show, and it used to be on Netflix, but they took it off. Batman Return of the Joker is a great movie from that series. Let's see, just go down here. Let's see, let me skip over to the ones I do know. So that's W, bear with me. I'm trying to get the T's. Where's the T's? S, T. Okay, I don't know where it is. Anyway, I'm going to go over here. Teen Titans is one of my biggest selling points because I didn't have cable when I was a kid. I didn't have cable. So whenever I got to watch Teen Titans, it was always at my cousin's house or a friend's house, and I loved the show, but I've never seen it. I've never even known whatever happened with the whole Slade and Teen Titan thing. And I know I could have bought the DVDs, but the things that I just don't like buying physical media these days unless I really want it. And well, the idea of buying a 5-season series, well, that takes up pretty good amount of room in my otherwise tiny 1-bedroom apartment in the Bay Area. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of good stuff over here. There's the Flash. I've never seen the Flash from the 90s, so I wanted to definitely check that out. There's Young Justice, the first 2 seasons, and the 3rd season is coming out fairly soon. I don't know, maybe within this year. So that's the TV shows. In terms of the exclusive TV shows, that's not out yet, but those have been confirmed to be Titans. There's Young Justice. There's a Harley Quinn show. There's Doom Patrol. There's Swamp Thing. The first one that's supposed to be coming out is Titans, which comes out in October, I believe. So I'm actually very excited about that. I know it's gritty. Not everyone loves it. But when I checked out the Jeff Johns panel and I heard him explain why they made the decisions of why they did it, I'm totally down for it, simply because it's coming from their own personal standpoint of growing up with the characters and wanting to see what they always imagined what it would be. And Jeff Johns is a fantastic storyteller if you read comics. I mean, if you're getting this app, then you know who Jeff Johns is. All right, so that's the comics, the movies, the TV shows, kind of like all the content that they have in here. So let's look at the other stuff. Let's look at the navigation in the app. So going back to the home screen, I already mentioned that it looks a lot like Netflix. It has the dive back end stuff, the trending things for both comics and movies and TV shows. It has essential things. It has its recommendations for the people who are new to comics, I'd say, which is great. It makes it easier for you to digest your things. I will say, though, that I prefer the browse all, which you saw over here in the comics. Like, if the way that you get to it is you just go to movies or TV and you go all the way down and you go, want more comics, browse all. And then here you can go from movies and TV, comics, and then a handy thing called encyclopedia, which I'll touch in just a bit. So in terms of the browse all, this is great because you can see a high level of everything. You can see what comic runs where they only have like 11 or 2. You can see where it's only like 1. You can see what you can consume within just looking at the thumbnail, which is great because I would definitely like to read more of runs that are complete. And then you can also see the year. So 1940, that's obviously Golden Age Batman. 2010, Newer Age Batman, that sort of thing. You can also put them into curated lists. So for example, over here, I open this up and then I go to issues, I click the one issue. You can actually add this over to your list. So it comes default with favorites. And I made one that says a reading list of books that I want to read that I haven't read. And there's also, you can create the new ones and that sort of thing. You can make them private or you can make them public. So that's kind of cool if you're into that sharing social media sort of thing. So in terms of the browser, in terms of the actual organization, I don't recommend doing it through the app. You can do it, it's fine, it's not buggy, but doing it in the browser is just much faster and it will connect to your app. You just have to log in. So that being said, you can also download your comics as well. So for example, I'm going to go to my DC here and I'm going to go over to my lists, and the list over here, we have the reading list here, and these little dots on the side, well, you can right click those and you can download. So you have to do that for your comics. I don't think you can stream the comics on here. And the same thing goes for your movies. So over here, I have Mask of the Phantasm, and when I click this, it has the ability to download. But unfortunately, there's no progress bar for them. I'll show you the two differences. So over here, we'll go to reading list, and then I'll go to download. If I click this thing here, download issue, it gives me this here, and I don't want that though for now. So if you go over here, well, if you go ahead and go here, there's no option for you to download. There's only a watch now. And the same thing happens for television shows for these two. You can watch them. But on the outside menu here, you could do download, and you can do download here, but there's no progress for you to see those downloads. But if you go to the television show part here, you can download it, and then that thumbnail, it will actually update. So right now it is downloading because you see that stop sign and the progress bar. So I'm going to cancel that download. But if you go over here to Mask of the Phantasm, there's no way to monitor your download. So I don't know if you can or not, which is kind of a flaw in the app system, because downloading movies for my long flights and whatever, that's extremely useful to have. So that's the navigation within the app. I will briefly say that the Roku app, it works well in terms of the visual content. You can even read movies and you can read them in a guided view. It's just a bit more clunky. And I hope that there's a little bit of integration between the app and the Roku so that you can choose your content on your phone and then send it over through Roku Cast or whatever cast that they eventually decide to do. And then you can control that onto your TV, so I'm hoping that they do it that way. Essentially use your phone as a remote, right? So the next amount of stuff that I want to talk about is more of the things that they didn't heavily advertise, but they did advertise it. It's just a smaller section. So I'm talking about the encyclopedia community, the store, and all of that. So the way that you can look at it is you go and choose movies and TV or comics in the bottom, and then you just scroll all the way to the bottom and you go to browse all. And then you can look up encyclopedia and you can browse all the good stuff in here so that you can learn about obscure characters that you've never heard of. Like, I don't know who the heck this guy is. Who is this guy? Chasselon, a Green Lantern from Sector 1416. He worked his way... Okay, whatever, yeah. So, yeah, he's super obscure, so I can learn about that. You can also do that by clicking more on the bottom right, and then you can choose encyclopedia over here. And go through all that stuff. So I just prefer doing the browse all because it's just kind of easier just to look at everything like in that high level perspective. So the next thing also I want to look at is the community. The community is very cool. You can make new threads, and there's already so many threads that are out here, guys. Like 800 comments on this, 903 on this one here, 654. Share your pull list. I've already shared that one, so it's pretty sweet. Like they're I don't know how much they're going to invest in this, but I feel like they really should, because a lot of the DC universe is driven by fans, and this is where fans talk, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of stuff here. I'm definitely going to spend a lot more time over here just to try and meet some new people, trying to promote some stuff, just because it's so early in its inception. It'd probably be a good time to start sharing my own content and seeing other people's original content, that sort of thing. Of course, there's news over here, so you can look up all new things, news on the DC Daily, DC Nation, that sort of thing. which is cool, you know. Otherwise, you can just use Facebook or Userama. Then the last one here is Shop. So, of course, a lot of the people who are buying into this, well, they're very curious about what you can get in the DC store. So, right now, the thing that's catching most people's eyes, in my opinion, is the Justice League action figures. So, I'm going to tell you right now that it's $194, and I think you have to pay for shipping if you want to get all 8, and it's $28. And I know there's a lot of the dislike for these figures because it's $28 plus shipping with no accessories. But, you know, like, I do want them, but it's like, I can't believe they're $28 a piece. I was thinking that they were going to be like 20, right? Or it's kind of dumb. The thing I don't like about the shop part is that you pay for the subscription already, and then you have to pay more money for everything else plus shipping. I would prefer if you actually just got free shipping on all your stuff, and then you just paid the list price. Because what are you buying into? It's a subscription. Make it similar to Amazon Prime. There's no shipping cost over there, right? So it should be the same thing over here in the DC app. So I'm going to tell you everything. You know, we covered a lot. We covered the comics, the content, the video content. We covered the navigation, encyclopedia, community store, etc., etc. So here is my review. And I mentioned before that I like it. I think it's good. I think overall it's great. The navigation is easy to use on the iPhone. I think it's okay on the Roku, a bit more clunky, and the browser is also very easy to use. I've experienced no crashes on either of the platforms, including the Roku one. It's just clunky. The download requirement for comics is annoying on your phone, so definitely load those up at home before you head out and do your stuff. And it's nice to be able to download the video content, especially the shows. And hopefully they integrate a better system to kind of show you the progress of your movies. For the comics, it is a mixed bag. I want more, but at the same time, there is a lot of great content available right now. I'm more excited to read older runs. The back catalog is what I'm trying to get into, and what I was hoping that they would do for here in the app. I was hoping that it would be more similar to how DC advertises in their annual Essentials guide. They put out these books. I don't know if they still do, but they used to put out these books into local comic book shops where it showed you the preferred reading order for comic books / graphic novels for each of the characters, for Batman, Green Lantern, The Flash, the Justice League, that sort of thing. And those were handy because those kind of give you like a curated reading orders for you to learn more about the comics, mythos, that sort of thing. The TV shows and movies are a home run in my opinion. I rewatch a lot of the animated content, even before it was a thing over here, like when it was on Netflix, before it was on Hulu, whatever, Amazon. I would watch those because, you know, I love them. I love them very much. In terms of the TV shows, I'm most excited for the Teen Titans, Batman Beyond, and Static Shock. And of course, when Young Justice comes out, I'm going to be all on that 3rd season, for sure. In terms of future content, I'm thinking it probably wouldn't be a good idea to put everything available because we tend to react more to curated lists rather than everything all at once. If you don't know what that means, check, I think it's called the jam study, right? Basically, the idea is that if you put forth 10 pieces of jam, different jams in front of people, and compare that with people who are presented with 30 different types of jams, people will most likely spend more money on the 10 types of jams. And I feel like that's if you're giving too much people, if you're just feeding the content into people's mouths, well, it's kind of a waste on DC's part, and it's also kind of a waste on your part as well, because there's just too much information in there for you. But I still would like to have the larger back catalog for older runs. I think also another thing to compare this to, I know a lot of people are comparing it to Marvel Unlimited, so we have to mention that. In case you don't know, Marvel Unlimited is a flat fee for the entire year. I think it's $100 all at once, or you can pay monthly for it, and then it includes all the Marvel comic books available up to 6 months prior. So, for example, Daredevil, you probably couldn't read the most current issue of it, but you can read the issue that released 6 months ago, and then includes everything there. So I used to have that, and I actually didn't use it very much at all, mostly because, well, it wasn't curated. It just kind of gave it to you all in one slew, and there wasn't anything curated. There was no recommendations there. It's been a while since I've used it. I only had it on its first year, but I feel like I got my bang out of it. You know, I read at least 10 graphic novels, so that's worth 10 books at least, minimum. And of course, if you're a DC fan, just get it. you know, that's pretty much what it is. If you're a DC fan, just get it. You're getting a large offering of comics, of TV shows. There's a lot of stuff on here, guys. It's really good. It's just like it's not as much as I was hoping there would be, especially if you've read all the comics and you're more interested in the obscure titles. You're not going to be getting that. This is more for the classic DC kind of stuff. Overall, I like the community feature. The store exclusives is cool, but I feel like they need to adjust that. The encyclopedia is a nice touch. You can download the stuff. I give this thing a solid 8.5 out of 10 if you want to go like numbers wise. It's great. Like, despite the missing content in the comic side, there's still a lot of consumer enjoyment out of here, and I'm hoping in the next iteration they can streamline the list creations and the download management. I paid $75 for 15 months, and that's like $5 a month. It's well worth the price of the initial offering of the content, and I'm just hoping that they invest it and they just curate it, they just keep it going. So those are my thoughts. That's my review of everything on the DC Universe thing. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the below. Of course, follow me on my Instagram at little_nerd_busters. Subscribe over here for more stuff. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Adios.